Feels more in theme. Hey guys, welcome to Get Busy Playing. I'm your host, Honest Dan. Let's talk video games. I know I usually talk about movies, but seeing as I'm a fairly casual gamer, it's time I broaden my content to my other favorite hobby, gaming. And I'll be starting with the very reason I recently got the PS4. Yes, for clarification, I do mean the PS4, not the new PS5. Ever since last year's E3 and I saw the cutesy looking Fall Guys, I was completely enamored by it. Sadly at the time, I was exclusively married to the Xbox One, and Fall Guys was a PS4 exclusive. Drat. But the new wave of systems was hitting the market soon, the now previous generation of consoles were cheaper, and despite the pandemic, I had enough money to invest in a PS4 at long last. I really wanted to play Fall Guys, what can I tell ya? Did it live up to my expectations though? This is my honest opinion of Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. Fall Guys is a battle royale platformer. You play as a guy going through a series of mini-games ranging from obstacle course races, memory games, team-based exercises, and more, all to whittle you down from up to 60 players to a single winner of the coveted crown. I love this game. I am having such a blast with it. I acknowledge that this review comes a bit late to the party, but I couldn't resist talking about it anyway. As of the recording of this video, I am currently playing on Season 2 of the game, and just recently had a mid-season update. This took me back to the good old days of the N64, where I was playing Mario Party, simply for the colorful, wholesome aesthetic, and that party game feeling that I've been missing. In addition to the obstacles in your way during the individual stages, you have hordes of other beans, that's what they're affectionately called online, that will constantly get in your way. But that's part of the fun, and to watch beans fall over is pretty freaking adorable. For a time, but I'll get there. The controls are simple, needing only to jump, dive, grab, and dive grab, so anyone can pick it up and play. Most of the courses offer their own flavor of challenges, though certainly a few are more frustrating to navigate than others, and most of the courses change their layout in superficial ways to keep things spicy and fresh, which is especially true of the mid-season update, which added significant challenge to a lot of the courses. In a couple of cases, I'm having more fun interacting with the obstacles than I am running the races. Those useful hammers of usefulness on Night Fever or on Tail Tag, I can't stop laughing. My favorite courses are Whirligig, way too much fun with those low spinning bars launching you across the map. DoorDash can be a lot of fun for how chaotic the crowding can get through a single doorway. I like a lot of the team-based ones. Favorites include the egg scramble variants, rock and roll where your team has to push a big and heavy ball to the finish line before the other teams, and you can even sabotage their efforts toward the end. My two favorite final rounds are Hexagon, where the platforms you stand on disappear when you step on them, and Jump Showdown, where the platforms you stand on disappear after a while, and the bars, both big and small, spin increasingly faster. Customization can be pretty fun, mixing and matching top and bottom costumes to get creative or just plain weird with. Loads of colors for your beans, emotes on the directional pad if you're feeling frisky. The in-game shop changes pretty frequently. The lower tier stuff stays for about a day, whereas the higher tier items can stay longer. You purchase these items through playing the games themselves, gaining kudos. The further along in the rounds you get, the more kudos you earn, gaining the maximum amount if you win the episode, but even if you're eliminated, you're still rewarded for your time. Geez, isn't that a rarity in modern gaming? With diligent gameplay, you can accumulate kudos pretty quickly, especially if you make it to the later rounds, which last about generally 5 rounds, sometimes 4, or the especially rare 3 or 6. You can play with friends, though not locally, which is a shame. Because my one friend that I play with is still a noob to the game, it's fun to watch him when I finish early and help guide him through the levels if he's having problems. Feed him little tricks and tips, but of course, he ignores every last one of them, but it's a lot of fun. The only real issue is if he gets eliminated too early, then I feel obligated to quit as well, so he's not sitting there waiting for me to get to the final round, but I guess that's not a real issue, because if I have to quit out of one round, then I don't exactly lose much. Still, fun is heightened to listen to each other gasping, grunting, and cursing. It just adds a few extra laughs to the experience. There are a few issues I take with the game. Let's tackle the nitpicks first. I feel like sometimes the jump button doesn't always register. This is especially frustrating in the more jump-centric games like the new Perfect Match game, Jump Showdown, and Hexagon, which I tell ya has been the most frequent reason why I'm eliminated on those games. I also feel like the camera can get a little wonky on the arena-based games like Hoops-A-Daisy and Tail Tag. Basically, if you get behind a wall, it'll zoom in on your bean and mess with your senses a bit. I find this strange because it isn't always a problem. If you're shown in a crowd or if an obstacle covers your bean, then there's an outline and an arrow pointing to help you see where you are. So why the camera does an extreme close-up when against a wall is quite beyond me. I think that needs a patch job. I would also very much appreciate a quick recovery button for when you fall over. I know, Fall Guys, it's in the name, they're designed to fall over, and for more obvious reasons, I can understand that. Hard hits, falls from great heights, huge crowds jumping and diving all together, that's all fine. But if you're just falling down a small ledge or jumping up a small step, your bean has a tendency to fall over, and I just don't get that. You know how in Gears of War, when you reload, if you time your reload just right, you get a damage bonus? Yeah, something like that keeps coming to mind. I'm not saying you get a speed bonus or anything like that, just a snappier recovery after falling over, as the default recovery animation takes a few beats too long for my taste. Not so fond of Seesaw, a game where these giant seesaw platforms rock side to side depending on weight distribution. Yeah, a seesaw. And you have to time your jumps to get to the next one. It's a game based entirely on luck rather than skill. True, you can say that about most, if not all, of the games, but at least for those, there is a sense of fairness. You can easily see a situation and go, okay, yeah, that was just bad luck, or I done goofed in some way. But with Seesaw, that's just an obnoxious one-sided ratio of luck versus skill. Even if you are lucky or skillful enough to finish relatively early, you now have to wait for the other 30 to 40 players to get their asses over the finish line, waiting for one group of beans for the platform to come down while the others are probably getting too anxious and tilting the platform over completely. It's just not fun to wait like that. Wall Guys, which is a game where you have to climb up increasingly taller boxes to get to the finish line, this is either the most satisfying when you qualify or the most infuriating when you're eliminated. Because grabbing onto ledges is the bread and butter of the race, similar to the jump button, I feel like it's not always clear as to why you don't hoist yourself up or just plain fall, or why your grabbing onto ledges isn't registered. I get that sometimes it's a matter of spacing, like if you were close enough to simply jump to the ledge, you would have grabbed it just fine, but because you dived for the ledge and were too close to it, that's why you fell. But every so often, I feel like it's not clear where too close or too far starts and ends. More legit complaints include the frequent server crashes. Granted, this was a bigger issue before the mid-season update. They've since beefed up their servers, so I'm not encountering these crashes as much, but yeah, they're still there. I also hate grabbers. If you're a grabber, I hate you. Legitimately. There's something so unsportsman about it. Just camping out by the finish line for the sole purpose of hindering someone else's progress and desires to qualify into the next round. There's just something so scummy about that. The game does a fine enough job throwing its own built-in obstacles at the players. I don't need your troll asses taking it upon yourselves to be one too. I really wish there was a penalty for this, but sadly, I wager that the developers encourage this. Sure, it's not exactly hard to start again, but it's still a pain in the ass. Unless you're in a game where grabbing is specifically called for, it's just trolling for the sake of it. And it's not actually playing or enjoying the intended content. I wonder how these players would react if the devs disabled grabs for the races, like Slime Climb, where grabbers have a field day. I wager many of them would jump ship. Honestly, I would consider that a good thing. Probably less frequent server crashes, which means everyone else who wants to play the game as intended can enjoy it more. Much as it pains me to say it, sometimes grabbers are necessary for certain levels, like Rollout, where the game could go on forever and the obstacles don't really get any more challenging. It just speeds things along, and I admit in this case, my saltiness is a result of me being the victim of said grabbers. But for most other levels, no, you're just a dick. Let's also take a minute to talk about the transaction store. The tried and true DLC is pretty limited so far, just extra fun costumes. I, of course, bought the Dragon Hugger pack. I really wanted that dragon costume. There is a microtransaction store, which is a bummer, though I feel like it's not overly necessary. Again, as I stated before, diligent gameplay can net you with a lot of kudos fairly quickly. Though I guess not everyone can diligently play because even in this pandemic, people still have lives and work full time. I'll never do it personally, the DLC packs are enough for me. I just hope the devs never insert crowns into the microtransaction store, or else it'll completely defeat the purpose of playing this game. Hey, the AAA gaming industry is guilty of doing far worse. Because this is a live service game, looking forward to future content, let's talk about what I'd like to see added to the game. One idea that hit me pretty recently was, what if you got eliminated from an episode, but you could still play in the next game by controlling the obstacles? Like, if there's a cannon, you can control where the balls or fruit go. Or you can control the pendulums and how fast they go, stuff like that. You'll obviously never get any crowns this way, but maybe a way to earn extra kudos. Like, for every hit, you get extra kudos, or if you eliminate players altogether, even more kudos. Or if you really want me to fall in love, a means of legit grabbing beans camping out at the finish line, reffing the trolls, teleporting them back to the start of the level, I'd consider this to be the best game of all time. Or better yet, in the show selector, have two main shows, with one of them disabling grabs outside of games where grabbing isn't required. That way, you satisfy both types of players, the ones who prefer to troll and the ones who just want to play the game. Or, have the final stretch to the finish line be a place where the grab is disabled. Just some thoughts thrown out there. Overall, Fall Guys is pretty fun. Ain't perfect, of course, but that doesn't stop me from logging in every day and try my luck at a crown. I have fun for the most part, and highly recommend people to check it out. My honest rating for Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, a 4 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Stay safe and healthy out there. Please wear a mask if you go out. Hope to see you soon.